Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geoffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. So I was supposed to give you guys this update last night, but I kind of fell asleep like an old man. So I have selected the person who will be co-hosting with me this Tuesday, and that person is Jen M. I've already been in contact with Jen. She's ready to rock. I am ready to rock. And come Tuesday, her and I will both be here together to bring you the daily drop. Now, if you're interested in this and you want to have a chance to participate, next month we're rocking it out again. Every single month, one episode per month, I will have one of you co-hosting with me. Thank you for everybody who participated, everybody who sent me emails, everybody who was interested. Make sure you send them again this month, and hopefully, when I pull the names out of the hat, it will be your name next. All right, today's article is from the Toronto Sun, and I missed this one the last couple of days. I haven't added it to the catalog, but I figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and add this to the catalog. Now, Spencer Kuvin, who is a lawyer for some of the survivors, has come out and said that Berman has been fired because of the Andrew situation. Now, personally, I'm not too sure one way or the other how much that dog hunts, but it is certainly a valid question. It is certainly something that should be discussed, and it is certainly something that should not just be dismissed out of hand. Considering the incredible power of the royal family in America still, I mean, look what they did with ABC. Robot got her interview squashed because they wanted to keep their access to the royals. So the royals still have tremendous reach in the United States of America, tremendous power in the United States of America, and it sure looks like, if you want to go down that road, that you could make the case that they exerted some pressure on Barr to get Berman fired because of his behavior in public with Andrew. And that's certainly a very plausible road to travel. So that's the road we're going to take today. This article, Toronto Sun. Author, Brad Hunter. Headline, lawyer claims Epstein prosecutor fired over demands to query Prince Andrew. Sex predator, pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein threw a Hail Mary from the grave for his well-connected pals, including Prince Andrew. That's a pretty ominous way to open up the article, huh? So maybe it looks like Brad Hunter might be going off of the premise that this is true. From that first opening statement, it looks like Brad Hunter might be buying this. The lawyer for some of the billionaire's sex trafficking survivors is now claiming that lead prosecutor Geoffrey Berman, former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, was fired because he demanded to interview Andrew. You know, under normal circumstances, like before I had the shades pulled back so I could see into the darkness of the room, I would have given this no thought whatsoever. I would have been like, yeah, okay, sure. They exerted pressure on the Justice Department to get Andrew out of the ringer. Sure, that's exactly what happened, right. But nowadays, considering how much malfeasance we see, considering how much corruption we see, considering how often we have seen it in this case, well, everything must be looked at clinically, and everything must be researched at this point. Because it's impossible to know what is true and what is not true just from a scratch of the surface, right? You always have to dig deeper, especially when it comes to this case in general. Spencer Kuvin described Berman's removal as highly suspect. I can get down with that, and I do agree with that. It was a very suspect move. And I don't care that Barr comes out with the damage control and starts in right away with oh, well, now anytime you make a personnel move, it's a conspiracy theory. Dude, you're like 5 months out from the election. It's a Friday night. This case has already been marred with all kinds of nonsense. And now, all of a sudden, you fire the prosecutor in charge of chasing down Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators. And you think people aren't going to have questions? People aren't going to expect a lucid response from you? Because we haven't gotten any of that. All we've heard is that you want to get your buddy in there from the SEC. So how is anyone supposed to have any confidence in what you people are doing over there? You have no transparency whatsoever. You run it like it's your own fiefdom, and then all of a sudden everybody's just supposed to fall in line with what you have to say? Zero chance that ever happens, and I don't care who the president is or who the attorney general is. I will never blindly just listen to those in power. Ever. One of Epstein's survivors accused the royal of having sex with her 3 times when she was underage. Andrew and Buckingham Palace have denied the allegations. Oh, yeah. So they definitely have denied the allegations. The question is, do you believe their denials? I know I certainly do not believe their denials. Not one bit. Everything they say out of Buckingham Palace, everything said by Prince Andrew, all BS in my opinion. All of it. Because when you get right down to it, folks, this man has provided nothing in the way of evidence besides his shiesty-ass, shady word. And that might go over with some of his lickspittles, but the rest of the world needs proof. Last week, Berman claimed the Duke of York, a.k.a. Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, was obstructing justice by refusing to be interviewed by investigators. Kuvin hinted that U.S. President Donald Trump was behind the firing. Well, that's a fact. Donald Trump was behind the firing. He was the one who signed off on it. He's the only one that can make this happen. But at the same time, I don't, we're going taking a big leap here, right? We're saying that it was because of this Andrew situation. Now, again, it is very possible, folks, very possible that is why this man was fired. I don't know for sure one way or the other, but again, it is certainly something that must be explored. And the fact of the matter is, Trump and Barr have not answered correctly for the reasoning behind this firing. Now, don't get, like I've said, I've made it very clear. All of these people serve at the discretion of the president within the executive branch, point blank, period. But at the same time, the public deserves some reasoning behind why somebody gets fired, especially in a contentious situation such as this. And Barr and Trump and the current administration, they don't want to have any transparency no more than Eric Holder and Obama wanted to have any transparency. Like I always say, folks, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. The timing of this is highly suspect for an internal favor having been requested by the president, Kuvin told the UK Sun. And now, all of a sudden, the one man that's been pushing for those requests has been fired for no reason. Well, that's all fine and well, but again, we're not going to make Berman a martyr here on the podcast. He's had 2 years to go after these people. A year at the very least, and we don't have any arrests except for the 2 lowly jail guards. So let's not make Berman a martyr here. Let's try and, pick our way through this situation and get down to, the weeds and figure out what exactly occurred. Because I'll tell you this much right now. Berman was not advancing justice, in my opinion. I'm not upset because Berman was fired. I'm upset for the way it went down. I'm upset because, once again, there is no transparency. And I am upset because, once again, there seems to be no game plan and no justice for these survivors. Get it together, Barr. He added, "We know that U.S. Attorney Berman was heavily investigating and pushing the investigation into the Epstein case, which included repeated requests to interview Prince Andrew." And again, I'll give Berman his credit for initiating the Andrew situation for sure. Somebody had to call this guy out, so I'll definitely give Berman the credit for that. But let's remember, Berman might be gone, but his chief, Audrey Strauss, is the one in charge of these investigations now. And Audrey Strauss is certainly no friend to the president. So there is still that bulwark there, right? She is certainly not a friend of the president. She is not a friend of Barr. And according to everything that I've read, she is going to continue to pursue these cases. Now, that's all fine and well, and it's nice to give the hoorah kind of speech, right? Get everyone fired up that she's going to continue, with the cases, blah, blah, blah. But when you have somebody like Darth Barr involved, I don't have any confidence that this case is going to go anywhere at this point. It really seems to me like Barr is trying to muddy the waters. And you have to ask yourself, why the hell would he be doing that? We know that Prince Andrew lied when he said that he had been cooperative because U.S. Attorney Berman came out and said that he was lying and that he had not contacted them and did not want to be part of that interview. And again, the Scorpion, right? Who do we believe here? Who do we trust? I know from my own personal dealings with the Department of Justice that they can't be trusted. They lie. They will do anything to get that conviction for normal people. They will litigate you into the poorhouse. They will go after your family. They will seize the home that your mother is living in. They do not give a damn. Unless, of course, you're one of Jeffrey Epstein's sex traffickers. Just run around and do whatever you want then. The two names on investigators' wish lists are Andrew and Epstein's notorious gal pal and alleged pimp, co-conspirator, child molester, etc., Ghislaine Maxwell. We also know that President Trump has a very close relationship with the British Prime Minister, and there have been requests that have been made in the past by our president to back off international prosecutions, Kuvin said. And there's legs there. We see what's going on with Julian Assange, the illegal keeping of Julian Assange in prison. We know that the U.S. and the U.K. authorities conspire to do this shit all the time. You would have to be naive to think that the relationship between the United States and the U.K. is not one that is of complete cooperation for the most part, because it is. So, it definitely, it is not out of the realm of possibility that pressure was put on Berman to stop talking about Andrew. Berman did not comply, and therefore Berman was sacked. It is possible. There's no doubt about it, folks. But we don't know one way or the other, right? It's not what we know, it's what we can prove. Berman resigned Friday after resisting efforts by U.S. Attorney General Darth William Barr to make him quit. Then said he was not resigning until a replacement had been named by Trump. So it was a shit show, there's no doubt. Look, Berman is not the kind of guy that, again, should be made a martyr. He's not a good guy. He's not the kind of person that I would want in charge of any of these cases, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, we have to question why he was sacked the way he was, why he was canned the way he was, and the timing of it is exceptionally odd. Barr, who had family connections to the twisted Epstein, then asked Trump to give Berman the boot. Trump denied being behind Berman's removal. Barr should recuse himself from everything Epstein related. If he had just a single bit of integrity, that's what he would do. But he won't. He'll keep his fingers in the pie. He'll keep things muddied up, and the band will continue to play on. My clients see this as yet another attempt by the system to deny them justice with respect to the co-conspirators involved in their abuse, Kuvin said. And I can totally see how the survivors would feel like that, right? Again, feeling like they've been taken advantage of. Feel like they've been abandoned. And they have every right in the world to feel like that. Imagine being one of these girls and seeing this shit show take place. I'd be out of my mind as well. The problem is that Prince Andrew, aka the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, I'm not even saying that he has direct involvement. All I'm saying is he knows the people who were directly involved. We know Ghislaine Maxwell was a co-conspirator when it came to Epstein's actions. My clients have confirmed that she was integrally involved with the process of recruiting young girls for Mr. Epstein. How much more clear does it need to be? How much more evidence needs to come forth? Because I'm telling you guys right now, if this was me or you or anyone you know, we'd already be arrested. How is Ghislaine Maxwell still living the high life? It is a question for the ages. Meanwhile, Epstein survivors can now file claims against the $1 billion estate through an out-of-court program. According to the New York Daily News, the Epstein survivors compensation program is expecting more than 70 women will make claims. I've seen reports of 100 now, and good for them. Make these women as right as possible when it comes to financial means. Back up the Brinks truck right on their lawn, open it up, and dump it out. The program provides survivors of Jeffrey Epstein the opportunity to be heard outside the glare of public courtroom proceedings and to receive acknowledgement by an independent third party as to the legitimacy of their experience and the long-term suffering it has wrought, independent administrator Jordana Feldman said in a release. And that's a big deal for me because what it does is the estate is taking responsibility for what happened. They're saying that this happened, these girls' pain is real, and what Jeffrey Epstein did was heinous. So that's a big deal for me, folks. I think it's a huge deal as far as advancing justice as well. Epstein, 66, died mysteriously in his New York jail cell last August while awaiting trial for sex trafficking. All right, so there's that theory. According to Spencer Kuvin, he thinks it's very possible that Berman was sacked because Andrew was being pressured. Is that the truth? I don't know. But it most certainly is worthy of discussion. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All right, everybody, we will be back later on with a little bit more.